The hushed air of the velvet slipper clung to the plush dove-grey carpet, absorbing even the faintest whisper of movement. Gleaming display cases, polished to a mirror-like sheen, refracted the soft, recessed lighting, casting a subtle luminescence upon rows of exquisite footwear. Each pair rested on its individual pedestal, a silent testament to craftsmanship and desire. The scent of fine leather mingled with a faint, almost imperceptible floral note from an unseen diffuser, contributing to the boutique's aura of refined luxury. Two figures, statuesque in their tailored uniforms, occupied the periphery. One, a woman with sharply defined features and an impeccably coiffed blonde bob, stood near the entrance, her posture radiating an almost dismissive indifference. Her gaze, when it occasionally swept across the store, seemed to appraise and then discard, a silent judgment resting behind her cool blue eyes. Her arms were often crossed, a subtle barrier against intrusion. The other associate, younger, with a cascade of warm brown curls and a gentle, open countenance, moved with a fluid grace through the displays. Her hands rested lightly on the glass, her gaze lingered on the shoes, and her expression held a quiet reverence for the artistry they embodied. A faint, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips, as if she found genuine pleasure in the beauty surrounding her. A figure appeared in the wide, polished doorway, hesitating on the threshold. Her clothes, while neat, were plain. A simple dark skirt and a sensible worn cardigan. Her hair, pulled back in a practical ponytail, lacked the glossy sheen of the boutique's clientele. Her worn handbag, clutched tightly in front of her, seemed an anomaly in this realm of polished leather and gleaming hardware. She stepped tentatively onto the plush carpet, her eyes wide, taking in the opulent surroundings with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The sharper associate's eyes flickered over her, a swift, almost imperceptible, dismissive shrug rippling through her shoulders before she returned her gaze to the street outside. The customer's eyes, however, were drawn, as if by an invisible thread, to a solitary display nestled deeper within the boutique. There, under its own focused beam of light, rested a pair of Christian Louboutin pumps. Their sleek black patent leather shimmered, reflecting the light like polished obsidian. But it was the soul, a vibrant, audacious crimson, that commanded attention, a defiant splash of color against the subdued elegance of the store. A small, discreet sign next to them proclaimed their price, $1,500. The plain-dressed woman approached the display slowly, her steps hesitant, her gaze fixed on the gleaming shoes. Her hand, a little chapped and unadorned, reached out, then hesitated, hovering inches from the glass. The sharp associate, catching sight of the customer's focus, subtly shifted her weight, a faint sigh escaping her lips. Her posture conveyed a clear message. This was a wasted effort, a curiosity that would amount to nothing. She glanced away, dismissing the scene unfolding before her. But the younger, warmer associate had already begun to move. Her steps were quiet, respectful, and she approached the customer not with an air of salesmanship, but with a quiet understanding. Her gaze was soft, empathetic, acknowledging the silent admiration in the customer's eyes. Without a word, she reached for a slender, velvet-covered pad, gently placing it on the display stand. Her fingers, nimble and graceful, unlatched the glass case, revealing the coveted shoes. With a deferential gesture, she invited the customer to examine the Louboutins more closely. The plain-dressed woman's eyes widened further. Her hand, previously hesitant, now reached out, tracing the delicate curve of the heel. The associate's fingers, in a silent demonstration, guided the customer's attention to the exquisite craftsmanship. The flawless stitching, the supple leather that yielded almost imperceptibly to the touch. And then, with a subtle tilt, the unmistakable flash of the crimson sole. The customer's fingers lingered, a silent appreciation passing between her and the shoe, a momentary connection that transcended the price tag. The warmer associate watched, a quiet satisfaction in her expression, respecting the customer's fascination without judgment or expectation. Suddenly, the polished door swung open again. A woman entered, her presence quiet, almost unassuming. She wore a simple, well-maintained dress, her hair pulled back in a neat bun. In her hand, she carried a small, creased paper bag from which a nail salon receipt protruded. Her gaze swept across the store, not with awe, but with an almost businesslike efficiency. The sharper associate, now alert, straightened, a hopeful glint in her eyes. This new arrival, despite her modest attire, exuded a quiet confidence. The woman walked directly to a display of classic pumps, then to a rack of elegant sandals, selecting several pairs with decisive nods. Her movements were fluid, unhurried, yet purposeful. The sharp associate, now fully engaged, moved to assist, her dismissive air replaced by an eager attentiveness. The new customer pointed to the now open Louboutin display, her voice a soft murmur, "And those, please." The plain-dressed customer, still admiring the shoe in her hand, startled slightly, her gaze meeting the newcomer's briefly before she gently replaced the Louboutin on its stand. The warmer associate, with a quiet smile, retrieved the shoe for the new customer. The chosen pairs were brought to the counter. The new customer, without hesitation, produced a thick wad of crisp bills from her modest handbag. The sharp associate's eyes, scanning the individual price tags, widened almost imperceptibly. For the Louboutins alone, the total was $1,645, the boutique's premium for the iconic red sole adding a touch to the base price. The woman counted out the exact amount, a quiet rustle of paper filling the air. A profound shift permeated the store's atmosphere. The sharp associate's carefully composed expression faltered, a flicker of genuine surprise crossing her features. Her movements, previously practiced and smooth, became momentarily stiff as she processed the cash. The warmth in her eyes was no longer feigned, but born of an unexpected humility. She glanced from the pile of money to the unassuming woman, a silent re-evaluation taking place. The younger associate, ever attentive, registered the change, a quiet satisfaction blooming within her. The transaction completed, the modest woman took her beautifully boxed purchases, including the now empty Louboutin box, and exited as quietly as she had arrived. The soft, elegant lighting of the velvet slipper continued to fall upon the now empty Louboutin display. The velvet-covered pad remained, a silent placeholder. The precise beam of light, designed to highlight the shoe's brilliance, now illuminated only empty space. The absence spoke volumes, a powerful wordless lesson lingering in the hushed air. Appearances, the empty pedestal seemed to proclaim, are but a deceptive veil. True worth, true dignity, reside not in the fabric of one's clothes, or the perceived size of one's wallet, but in the inherent right of every individual to be treated with respect, regardless of the outward facade. The quiet hum of the boutique's air conditioning filled the void, carrying with it the lingering echoes of a profound realization, a silent acknowledgement that every person, without exception, deserves the courtesy of an open heart and an attentive presence.